Okay, hi guys. We're on the air. Just give me 1 second. As soon as I hit the live button, for some reason, it gets rid of our picture. And there we are. So, welcome on this Thursday night on the Joe and Joe Weather Show. Joe, you got big hair tonight. What did you do? Or is
I
that
poofed,
me?
I
What?
poofed, I poofed it up.
Okay, well, how did you do that?
I don't know.
Okay.
That's just the way it turned out.
You're listening to Led Zeppelin or something, or what was that?
No, that was YouTube running about a minute behind you as usual.
Ah. uh, So, another upside down day. I noticed that as of just before 7 o'clock, it was in the low to mid 90s in northern Maine. Uh, Almost, but didn't quite get to 80 degrees here by me, and dew points are still in the 50s. So I'm enjoying this. This is probably the last day of it, though, because this upper low that's been between you and me is starting to weaken a little bit, and it is going to finally start to slowly kick out to the northeast over the next couple of days. And everybody is going to transition, if they haven't already, into very warm and humid conditions.
Absolutely. It's going to be a stagnant and humid and, well, a kind of air mass that you would expect in the summertime and not really going to be very much in the way of change here from tomorrow right on through next week. I can see temperatures tomorrow, next week in the Hudson Valley flirting with or maybe even going above 90 on a few days.
Yeah, I could certainly see it, and there doesn't look to be there actually looks to be a very impressive trough that's going to set up over the western lakes early next week into the middle of the week, and it's going to try to push eastward. But one of the things that's going to happen is that it swings eastward. It's going to start to weaken as it lifts up into Canada. So this the next cold front, which is not even due here until probably late next Wednesday, may not even have the push to get through, in which case we could wind up staying very warm and humid all of next week. Although we'll probably have to pepper in more opportunities for thunderstorms maybe for the second half of next week. I mean, we're in this pattern that where we're kind of grasping for things, looking out 7 days, and not seeing really that much changing over the eastern United States. I guess that's what June. It's typical mid to late June.
And for all the people out there who are complaining about, I might add, bitterly complaining about the fact that, hey, when is the summer heat going to come? When's the warm air going to come? When is it going to start feeling like June? You're going to get it, and you're going to get quite a bit of it, as Joe just mentioned, probably over the next week and maybe even beyond, Joe. This might be a protracted spell of not only just warm, but very humid conditions.
I got the satellite up the U.S. loop, and you see that up. You know, the upper low today, which I mean, it's been there for going on. I was it 4 days now, at least 3 days, if not 4 days. It's just spinning away. It looks a little thin. I guess I would describe it as looking a little thinner today than it has in past days. There isn't a solid overcast. There are a lot of breaks that have shown up, especially on the southern end. And also, if you look on the northern part of this, there's what looks like a little arc that runs from southern New England and goes northwest into western New York. From west of the Catskills, some showers and thunderstorms flared up late this afternoon and this evening, and we'll punch that up on the radar. And there's a lot of scattered stuff in the Ohio Valley. Nothing severe, but it's one of these situations that if you're under it, you're going to wind up getting some heavy downpours relatively quickly, and then they just move along from there. And other than that, I mean, there's a little disturbed weather from Florida to Bermuda and through the Bahamas, but that all just looks like the southwest flow around the eastern side of the upper low. So nothing's going to develop out of that. And a little bit of action up in the northwest, but that doesn't look like it's going to amount to anything. And another beautiful day in central and northern New England with temperatures up around and even over 90.
I tell you, Joe, again, as we've been stressing, not much change is going to be taking place. And you mentioned about the thunderstorms and the downpours. And with the humidity levels, with the dew points expected to be into the 60s, maybe even by next week, close to 70. Any thunderstorm that pops up or percolates out of this very warm and sticky air mass is likely to, as you just noted, produce some locally heavy downpours because it's going to have a lot of moisture to tap onto, and it's I mean it's not going to be a washout. We're not looking for showers to predominate through the entire time, but mostly in that 3 p.m. to 10 p.m. time frame. That's going to be the key time frame for activity to bubble up, so to speak, each afternoon, and that'll be especially true. Maybe not so much tomorrow, I don't think, but Saturday, Sunday, and then on into next week. Uh, just watch the skies in the afternoon hours because we'll be under the gun for again possible thunderstorms and a few possible downpours.
Showers and storms in Ohio, West Virginia, Western North Carolina, eastern half of Kentucky, all rotating in a counterclockwise fashion. So there's your upper low. It's as plain as the nose on your face, folks. And then those showers that talked about northwest of the Catskills, those have actually reached peak intensity and they're moving northwestward toward Lake Ontario. Usually, the folks up there in north central New York have everything moving in 180 degrees opposite direction. So it's a little unusual to see stuff coming up from the southeast or the northwest.
Right.
Down in Florida, the radar looks pretty busy from central Florida on southward with some heavy rains and some thunderstorms there. Seeing a little bit of activity down in South Texas on the radar this evening, and some pretty hefty thunderstorms across Minnesota down into western Iowa. And this is where the Storm Prediction Center today has its risk areas. Slight risk from Minnesota southwestward into Texas. I'm sorry, marginal risk from eastern Minnesota southwestward into West Texas, and a small area of slight risk in southern Minnesota and a small portion of northwestern Iowa. There's not a whole lot of severe weather going on across the U.S. Things are really winding down from that respect. Tomorrow, the severe weather shifts to the southern part of that stretch into West Texas, where we have a marginal to slight risk that reaches up into Colorado. General thunderstorms in the east, Joe, spread all the way up into northern New England, except for the coast. And then on day 3, which is Saturday into Sunday, we have an area of marginal risk from Kansas to Oklahoma, northeast toward northern Illinois and Chicago and southern Wisconsin. Also, a small area of marginal risk in southwest Texas. Otherwise, a risk of general thunderstorm activity in the northeast, except for eastern Maine and southeastern New England.
And you said today that central and northern Maine was in the 90s.
Yeah, I got the. Let's take a look. I got the obs here. So these are the 7 o'clock obs. So we're actually off the highs of the day, but right now in Seboyas River near Shin Pond, it's 94. Okay, uh, the Arstook River near Massardis is 92. And these are off the highs. Smith Brook near Ashland is 90. Uh, the dew points at least are in the mid 50s, so it's reasonable.
Well,
Uh,
it's a dry heat.
yes, Brownville is yes, exactly. Brownville is 90. The Mattawamkeag River near Mattawamkeag, which I guess is a good place for the Mattawamkeag River to be. It should be near Mattawamkeag, is 95. And their high today, Joe, 97.
Good
Isn't that
Lord.
insane?
Good Lord.
Caribou today, 90 right now, 58 dew point. 95 was the high. Completely upside down because you head down upper 80s to near 90 today across Vermont and New Hampshire, but then you get down to New York City, uh, into Delaware, Maryland. It's in the mid to upper 70s. And as I said, for me, where I am right now in North Georgia, it got to 81 at Atlanta Airport, but I'm actually away from Atlanta Airport. I'm up in Marietta at the moment. And it probably got to about maybe 78 or 9. And we still have dew points here in the upper 50s to around 60. I mean, it's just been really delightful.
Who would have thought that perhaps somebody who's living up in the Granite State of Maine would actually say to themselves, "Gee, it's so hot up here.
I need to
I
go
gotta
to
go down to
Georgia.
I gotta go down to Georgia. It's much nicer down
Well,
there."
it's very, people don't realize that the northern part of the southern part of Georgia, when you get down toward Florida, is very flat. But you start moving up towards central, but particularly in northern Georgia, there's a lot of elevation here. I mean, there are some really big hills. They dwarf the hills. It kind of the hills around here, uh, in some ways, reminds me of areas in the Hudson Valley and in northwest New Jersey. The elevations are actually rather significant, and I bet you there's probably some downsloping going on with northwest winds from the mountains up to the north to dry out the air with this upper low where it's been.
Right, right. And also in western sections of both North and South Carolina, some of the elevations are fairly significant, especially in western North Carolina. There are a few mountains, I think, out there that are in excess of 2 or 3,000 feet. So,
Well, Watauga County Hospital heliport is 62, and that's in western North Carolina. Jefferson, North Carolina, Ashe County Airport is 61. Their high today was only 63. So, western parts of North Carolina, in and around Asheville, for example, temperatures probably didn't get much above the mid 60s today. Go to eastern North Carolina right now, it's sitting in the upper 70s to low 80s, and the dew points they're around 60 and a few upper 50s in western North Carolina. They're in the low to mid 60s to the east, which is not really terrible. It's not really terrible, but with the upper low the way it's been, you're dealing with clouds, you're dealing with moisture, you're dealing with these, these showers that have been around. And yesterday and the day before, we had quite a bit of heavy rain. But again, it's a little bit weird. I'm actually I'm kind of moving the cursor across northern Mississippi. I'm sorry, northern Alabama, where it's in the upper 70s and low 80s, and in Tennessee, where it's in the low 80s, and we've got dew points mostly in the upper 50s and low 60s. So it's a little bit of a crazy setup here.
Chuck Cardillo on the chat board says the whole world is going upside down. When it snows in Florida and 70 in Maine, then we're all in trouble.
Well, he's got, yeah, I would say so, particularly in mid-June if that were to happen. So, WPC rainfall looks like the southern and central plains are going to get hit hard with some rains over the next week. South Texas, southern Florida. In the east, it's kind of a mix, and I guess it's being driven by either the upper low during the first half of the forecast period or some pop-up showers and thunderstorms later on in the second half that move up and through upstate New York and New England. Far lesser amounts near the coast. Very little near the coastal, near the immediate coast. But you just start to work your way inland, and you start to get into 3/4 of an inch to an inch, inch and a half, and that's again probably due to the fact that the further inland you are, the more susceptible you're going to be to probably some pop-up storms over the next couple of days. I'm thinking, Joe, that the Father's Day weekend overall should be fine. For most people, they probably won't even see a rain shower out of this mess.
No, there's nothing that is going to be organized, but again, randomly there may be a few pop-ups here and there. And again, any one shower or storm will carry with it quite a bit of moisture and could bring down even over a 5 or 10 minute span quite a bit of rainfall, a locally heavy downpour, or may we say a locally heavy downpour. And questions on the chat board, Joe. I know you're a horseman. They are asking when was the hottest Belmont that's ever been run. Of course, the Belmont Stakes will be run this coming Saturday. The first sounds so strange to say this. The first round of the Triple Crown.
You know what? I don't understand. I don't understand why. See, one of the things about horse racing that I discovered a long time ago, there's a large contingent in horse racing that somehow I think has a mindset that is back in the 50s and 60s and 70s. It took a long time for racing to get onto betting and betting apps and online betting and all the rest of it. And also, being able to access races and watching them live. Uh, they were kind of last to the scene. I don't understand why they couldn't all just sit down and figure out how they could run the Triple Crown the way with the Kentucky Derby first, and then the Preakness and then the Belmont. It's all so very complicated because each state has its own way of doing things. And as far as the how hot in terms of the Belmont, the hottest Belmont, yeah, I've been to the track often enough to know that there's probably been a couple of times where the temperatures have been above 90. I can remember a Belmont when Funnyside was running in the Belmont in an absolute driving, soaking rain and nor'easter with temperatures only in the upper 50s. So that was on the other side of the scale. I honestly I don't recall. It's probably one of the. All I want to know is if the track is fast, and I don't really pay too much attention over the years. I haven't really paid too much attention to the actual weather going on that particular day. So I honestly don't know the answer to that question.
Anthony, I would tend to differ in thought here. Anthony Orr says the correct answer, and again, I don't know if this can be a correct answer. 105 in the shade in 2008. I don't even remember that. Do you remember that, Joe? It says that's when Big Brown was going for the
Well,
Triple
who
Crown.
took the temperature in the shade there?
I have no clue. 105 in the shade, though. That would be like on the
I
side
would
of.
imagine. I mean, I don't recall it being a 100-degree day back in 2008 in June. But then again, I don't recall whether I had, what I had for dinner just an hour ago. So
It would be nice. It would be nice if it were a fixed date. Then you could just automatically go and
well,
check.
it's usually the first. Okay, so it's usually 3 weeks after the Preakness.
Right,
So it oftentimes is the second Saturday in June, if I remember correctly. Yeah, the second Saturday in June, because the Preakness is usually 2 weeks after the Derby. First Saturday, three. It depends on it, because most of the time it's the second Saturday in June.
right.
So like I said, I mean, was that the year where it was in the 90s? It could very well be.
Hmm.
I'm not gonna doubt it. I'm not gonna doubt it.
Yeah, because 100.
I don't even know the 3-year-olds this year and who's running anyhow, and that's something I usually pay attention to. But there's been nothing to watch. So they've actually been racing down at some racetracks with no people. Which if you're watching them to bet, you have no problem with that. Just run the
Uh,
race.
that'll make for an interesting race on Saturday when you get down to the uh, toward the end of the race or whatever, and whoever does the announcing at Belmont, he says, "Down the stretch they come." Usually Joe.
Yeah, nobody uses the Davy Johnson thing. I just don't know how I don't know how much value it has this year. Like anything else is going to be giant asterisks next to everything
Right.
as the year goes on. All right, so let's just take folks. To be quite honest, there's just really isn't much to talk about here. But I'm going to pull up the upper air on the European to show you what's happening here with respect to the East Coast upper low getting weakening and getting kicked out. The next trough that drops into the Western Lakes for the middle of next week. It never really swings bodily to the East Coast. It just kind of rotates in Eastern Canada, pulls up. Now, the European does want to drop it down into New England late next week, so that would imply maybe another cold front late in the week and cooler air for next weekend, the last weekend of June. It's got a pretty nice deep trough along the East Coast, Joe, from with an upper low over New Brunswick, and the westerlies going all the way down into northern Florida. It would imply that next weekend could actually be on the cool side. Now, whether that's the Europeans' view, the GFS, on the other hand, as it always likes to be just a little bit different, is not quite on the same page. Deep trough in the middle of next week, but again, never makes it anywhere close to the East Coast. A second trough uh, uh, takes longer and also weakens and pulls up. So the GFS has not only a warmer look, but it actually builds a big ridge into the eastern part of the United States late in the forecast period as we head into the 4th of July. So that'll be interesting to see whether that winds up happening or not. But it really is just a matter of warm and humid conditions, Joe, and going to very warm and humid conditions over the weekend, going to hot and humid conditions for Monday and Tuesday of next week. I mean, that to me kind of summarizes everything.
Well, the Climate Prediction Center for their 6 to 10 day outlook is rather interesting looking. June 24th through June 28th, they have below normal, 60% chance of below normal, right smack in the middle of the country, Iowa, Missouri, and eastern Nebraska, eastern Kansas. And surrounding that below normal area, it gets progressively warmer. And in fact, on the four corners, the Pacific Northwest, the Southwest Desert, Florida Peninsula, northeastern United States, New England, all above normal. So you've got above
Right.
normal
Well, that makes
at the
sense
corner.
because of where this, you get this deep upper low that drops down to Lake Superior, and it's wrapped up. So yeah, it's warm on the east side of it and warm on the west side of it, and pretty cool right in the middle.
Like a donut. It looks like the
Yeah,
donut hole is right in the middle of the country
yeah.
with below normal temperatures.
So
So
here's your next front for next Wednesday that gets close. And of course, as I said, the European would suggest that there be another front maybe late on Friday with a strong troughing and deepening trough along the East Coast, bringing cooler air. The GFS, not the case. That front gets hung up to the west and doesn't arrive here until maybe next Sunday night or next Monday. So, I mean, that really is, these are the struggles that we have right now, and there are not many in terms of the day to day forecast, folks, because, given the time of year, there isn't a whole lot, going on. There just simply isn't.
right. And
The tropics, by the way, dead as a doornail. There really isn't anything to look at there. Maybe at this time next week, maybe we'll have something in the Pacific going on, but that just goes into the Pacific graveyard, so we really don't have too much to look at over there. And I guess that sort of wraps up everything in the weather department.
we're going to be probably putting this weather inside of a Xerox machine, if not tomorrow, beginning over the weekend into next
Yeah,
week. It's going to be the great God repetitious putting these forecasts together because one day is not going to be much different, I think, than another. Again, maybe you said late Wednesday. The hand drawn Prague wants to make it more like early Thursday for a possible cold front moving through. And again, that's only possible because unless the thing doesn't erode or completely wash out before it gets here with a little bit of relief. But what are you going to say? It's summer, not officially yet, but it will be soon.
yes, it will be soon indeed. So
I'm,
let's get some Briller Jeopardy done. Uh, I'll go first with you. I don't know if you should have anything for me.
I think I may have.
It'll pop up. So here's yours, okay?
Right.
What is the highest temperature ever in Barrow, Alaska?
Ouch. Barrow, Alaska. All right. Well, you know what? Since Mount Washington, I think the record at Mount Washington is like 67 or 68. I'll say something like 68 degrees.
79.
79.
Yeah, what was the lowest temperature ever recorded in Barrow, Alaska?
Good Lord. Let's go for broke. Well, there's a place in northwestern Canada, Snag. That used to be I think it was in the Yukon, and they had something like minus 79 or something like that. I'll say blah, 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 minus 71,
56. Minus 56.
minus 56. Now,
Uh,
how is that possible? Because I can remember a place like Old Forge in the Adirondacks being about as cold as that. How does that manage that Old Forge can get down that low and it's not much colder up in Barrow, Alaska, of all places? Well, what are you going to say?
what this I don't remember, but I'm gonna. Same questions for Flagstaff, Arizona.
Oh, well, Flagstaff is further south, so
It's
I'll
also
say
elevation.
minus 47.
Oh, well, not
Hey, wait, did you say Flagstaff, Arizona?
yeah.
Oh, I'm sorry. I'm sorry. I thought you said Fairbanks, Alaska.
No, Flagstaff, Arizona.
The
Although,
coldest.
believe it or not, that minus 47 is not that far off.
Really?
Yeah.
You're kidding me.
No.
Flagstaff, Arizona. All right, let's say minus 35.
Minus 30.
Wow.
Minus 30. 97 is the record high in Flagstaff.
I have driven. I did this my wife and I did that in 1985 BC before children.
Right.
We drove. I don't even know what the interstate is, but there's a north to south or south to north highway. We left uh, Tucson, Arizona. We had the air conditioner on full blast. It was like 97 or 98, and by the time we made it to Flagstaff, we had the windows closed. The heat was on. It was sleeting. And
Ha!
the temperatures were like in the upper 30s or low
Yeah.
40s.
It
We
can
did
happen.
we did that in October, so yeah, it can indeed happen.
So finally, when Ralph tells Alice that he and Norton have to go to the lodge, what does Alice say?
Well, there were so many cases like that.
Yeah, see, I don't remember this.
I don't know
Um,
what did Alice say.
he-
Eat him like any other elephant.
no, no. What are you, Fred Flintstone? I don't.
Wait a minute, that's
Yeah, I don't
impossible.
remember her saying. I don't remember
No,
this.
that's impossible because the
Yeah,
Flintstones didn't come
it
along until
would be
19.
in reverse. I mean, if Fred and Barney went to the lodge, then Wilma say, "Who are you, Ralph Cramden?" That would
Yeah,
make more sense because because the Flintstones came after the honeymooners,
or Ralph Cramden Stone or whatever.
right? Or Ralph Cramden Stone, yes.
But he might have been thinking about the color versions. Remember back in the mid '60s,
Oh, okay, right. Well, that's possible.
and they were in color, I think Sheila McRae was
Sheila
Alice.
McRae, correct.
Sheila McRae,
Oh,
I'm
Arnie!
ready.
Uh,
Are you ready for yours?
yeah, I'm ready.
All right. Category: can the chairman ever stump Chiappi on an I Love Lucy question? One. What movie? Even I know this movie. Even I know this
The
answer.
long, long
What?
trailer.
No. What movie was
Forever
John?
Darling. Go
What
on.
movie was John Wayne plugging when he guest starred?
Oh, and it was universally reviewed badly. Oh God, it was a World War II movie. He was an airline pilot, and she says, "When your engine conked out, my
My
engine
engine.
conked out." Oh, yeah, it's a terrible movie, actually. Oh my God, I don't remember the name of it. Um, Wait, I can sort of visualize. I'm trying to
What pulses?
visualize her
What
saying it.
pulses through your body, Joe?
What's that?
What pulses through your body?
Blood Alley.
That's it.
There
There
you
you
go.
go.
Blood Alley.
Right. Number two,
That helped. Thank you.
name the Italian movie Lucy was going to star in. Name
Oh,
the Italian movie that Lucy was going to
yeah.
star in.
It was a symbolic. It was in the grape vineyards. Bitter grapes.
Bitter grapes. And number three, who was the? Now you have to know a little bit of baseball about this one. Who was the Yankees playing? Who were the Yankees playing when Lucy encountered Bob Hope?
Cleveland.
Cleveland Indians, right? And for what did another easy one for you, Joe? This is a softball question. What did Lucy order at the Brown Derby?
Oh, spaghetti.
Right.
Spaghetti.
What
Uh,
goes with spaghetti?
what's that?
What goes with
Well,
spaghetti?
meatballs. I'm
Right.
trying to remember. She said she wanted something on the side, but
Well, that
it was spaghetti and meatballs.
right. So you got the answer. And the last one. 5 questions tonight, Joe. How many trips did Lucy and Fred take on the ferry to Staten Island?
Oh God. This one I don't recall. I do recall that they didn't get off the boat till almost after 4:30.
I
Um,
guess they were round. I guess they were round trips because it was only 5 cents back then, right?
right, nine
So
times.
Well, figure it out now. If there were round trips, oh, wait a minute, was they, well, five cents for a one way
Right.
and 10 cents if it was a
10
round,
cents a round trip.
right. And Fred handed the guy a dollar bill.
Well, that would cover them both, would be 10 cents a piece, so it'd be five times.
Correct.
Five times.
Oh, get up, buddy. You gave me a buck. Remember that? Yeah.
Yes. So listen, since there really isn't too much happening, how about we not no live stream tomorrow and Saturday? And what's going on with you on Father's Day? What do
Oh,
they have? What do they have planned for you to be happy?
well, it's good that we'll do this because tomorrow, actually, my Father's Day gift arrived a few days ago, and since my daughter is far more technically inclined than I am, she is going to probably do most of the setup. Um, I have been told that I'm getting rid of this machine that I've been using for the last 6 years
Are you getting a new computer?
and replacing it with a brand new
Oh, good for you.
state of the art
Awesome.
Windows 10. Lord help me.
Yeah, you'll be fine. You know, once you get used to it, you'll be fine. And it will give you the ability to do a lot of other things that you're not doing now. So you'll be
Well,
fine.
and anyway, and there's also my Facebook page, for whatever reason, is on my wife's iPad. So sometimes when stuff pops up on the iPad,
Like
uh,
pornography. Go on.
she'll she'll see what something that I haven't seen yet. But also her little she has these little apps that gives her news from the New York Times, or
Mhm.
she'll order something and it'll pop up. And so I was setting the table and I put the iPad off to one side, and up pops up something that said, "Your order for Toshiba X129." And I'm reading this off to him, and he said, "All right, you're not supposed to see that." And she pulled the iPad away. So
Well, that's
obviously,
nice. While she's there setting you up, have her let her show you how to put full screen images up on Zoom video that she wrote out for you.
oh, well, yeah, I still haven't implemented.
I know, but since she's going to be there, why don't you have her let show you how to do that?
And there was a woman who, um, yesterday, I got something on Facebook by Messenger. A woman said that her husband was a big fan of mine when I was on television, and it would thrill him to death if I would have tape something for him so that she can spring it on him on Father's Day. And
Oh,
it would be
nice.
nothing. So I said, well, uh, I'd be very happy to do that. Tell me what his name is and tell me a couple of things, that's not going to be embarrassing. I get a message this morning on Facebook on Messenger. The woman wrote a novel.
Ha!
I said, what am I going to do with this?
Well, you could
You know,
always you could set up a Zoom video with him and have him have a conversation with you.
I should have some fancy with down, 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 down. This is your life.
Well, that's very flattering, and when pick out some of the better points and go right ahead with it.
Well,
He'll love it, I'm sure.
he's a Yankee fan. That's
Does he
that's
watch our show?
that's one demerit in his day. I don't know. I should mention that, shouldn't I?
Because if he
Usually
doesn't watch
the Joe and Joe show every night
right,
at
no, if
seven.
he doesn't watch it, if he's not watching the show, then to hell with it. I wouldn't even. You shouldn't even give him the time of day. He's
All
lucky
right.
he's made it to another year.
So we'll see you on Sunday, Father's Day,
Yeah.
or if you want to call Father's Day off and just
No, we could jump on for a short time, maybe. If
actually
something
you're
should.
already out one of your daughters. So
Yes, I mean, so if we jump on our regular time at 11 o'clock and do a short show, I think it should be okay. If by chance that there are different plans, I will let you know. Okay?
you're right, eh?
Then we'll let the folks at home know. Thanks everybody for being here tonight. We'll see you Sunday at 11 o'clock Eastern time.
Right.
Todd